The NFL funded a $30 million research grant to the National Institute of Health back in 2012. On Tuesday, ESPN reported that one of the studies it was supposed to support, a project established to diagnose CTE in living patients, had its funds pulled because the lead researcher has been critical of the league. An NFL spokesman has since tweeted a denial. The movie Concussion opens in theaters this Friday, and SNY is delving into this concussion issue, continuing our 5-part series called Head Games, The Concussion Crisis. Today we're looking at what happens after players step away from the field. Here's Jonas Schwartz with our own Ray Lucas.
When I grew up watching football, it was almost a relief when you heard a player had a concussion. The thought was give him smelling salts, get him back in the game. Tell me, from your perspective, what was the attitude about concussions or missing time for concussions back then?
You don't miss time for concussions back then. You played. I mean, that was it. I mean, I remember playing in a Miami game where I stepped into the throw on, I think it was on first down, and Darryl Gardner, I turned my head at the last second. Lights went out. So I was laying on the ground, and I remember the trainers coming out, and I was telling them to give me a minute, but it was like, I couldn't even talk. So they started laughing. So obviously, you know me, I started cursing, but that was even coming out. So they were laughing more. So finally, Dr. Bellman said, hey, get up, you're embarrassing me. So I get up, I walk to the sideline, and I could see the trainer behind me giving the cut sign, and Parcells said, what's wrong with you? And I said, nothing. He says, you stay right here. So Rick Meyer went in for a play. He said, what's play number 4 in your wristband? I read it, and then I went back in the game the next play.
Do you have moments today where lose track of something, something happens where you go, boy, that's got to be from the concussion?
Perfect example. A couple days ago, we had the refrigerator open, and I didn't realize my daughter was sitting there. She said, Dad, what are you doing? And I said, what? She said, you've been standing there for 15 minutes. So I'm like, no, I wasn't. It doesn't really, it's just the little things right now. But, like when you're thinking I'm only 42 years old, man, like, am I going down this road? And it's a scary, proposition any way you slice it.
When you heard of all the science with CTE, did you ever say to yourself, wow, this is going to be me, and were you frightened by it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the NFL is doing a lot of good things now. But back then, there wasn't take the helmet. It was, are you all right? And every man that plays in the NFL, the answer was yes. And I bet you rarely, and I mean really rarely, because it's a sign of weakness, that if you can't play hurt, they don't want you. That's just the way the NFL was back then when I played. Either you play hurt, everybody plays hurt. That's just accepted policy there.
You think the NFL failed you guys then?
I don't know. It failed is a kind of big word. I would really like to know what they know. Listen, I'm part of the concussion lawsuit. Again, people will say, oh, you just signed up because, you want the money. I don't even think I'm going to get any money. I wanted knowledge. I want to know in 10 years, am I going to be okay? Like, am I going to be able to walk down the street and not forget where I'm going? Those are the kind of questions that, still, to me, pose, it's pretty scary.
How fearful are you that could be you?
I think it could happen to anybody that played a certain amount of time in the NFL. Back when I was playing on special teams, man, you had to be a little crazy to run into that wall. I mean, those 4 big fatties lined up, those offensive linemen, first one to the wall had to bust it up. And I was there quite a bit, and my first play ever in the NFL, I knocked myself unconscious, but nobody knew.
Yeah.
I just got up and I went into Green Bay's huddle, and they were like, you're in the wrong huddle, go to the sideline. So that tells you, I didn't even know where I was. I just saw a group of people until I was in the huddle and looked at, oh, I'm green, they're wearing white. I'm not really supposed to be here.
You say nobody knew. There are some people who believe the NFL knew much more about concussions and the effects on the players then and didn't let on to it because, hey, it gets in the way of the fun and the money.
Right.
Do you believe the NFL knew more about what was going on then? And do you think they were fair and honest with you guys then?
I mean, that's the biggest question. Can they told us everything? Maybe. Can they told us nothing? Maybe. I don't know. The whole concussion lawsuit, I thought, was to find answers, not to get $750 million. Now, listen, I know there's guys out there that need it immediately, that are speaking through screens, and, but then, again, you look at this whole thing and you're saying, well, if they die, the family gets $3 million. Well, if I was talking through a screen, I'd kill myself anyway, right then and there, just so they can get the $3 million. I'd roll myself right down the stairs. That'd be it. Done. Deal. Give my family the money. I don't think families out there look at it that way. They don't want their father or uncle or, whatever. They don't want them to be that way. So knowledge to me, is the key to everything. How do we stop it?
Right. Is it fair to say that when you signed up to play football, you understood, hey, I can break a leg, I can break an arm, but I didn't think I was damaging my brain? Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. But this is the game.
Right.
you hit to win. So it's never going to change. CTE is something that is going to be in this business for the duration. The guys are getting bigger. Somebody's going to die.
When you look back, would you do it all over again? I mean, think of the toll it's taken on you now. You would do it all over again.
Yeah, friggin' heartbeat.
Why?
I mean, it's not football. It's life. You know, when you do something from when you're such a little kid and you work hard at it and you got to the top of the mountain where very few people get to. You know, I wish I would have appreciated it a lot more when I was doing it. You know, my daddy always told me, you know, if you hit the snooze button, you're not doing the right job. Well, I didn't need an alarm clock when I played in the NFL. I was up at 6:30. I was home at 9:30 at night. It was life. You know, I mean, people, you know, go to their jobs every day. That was my job, man. I mean, what better way to live your life than in something that you love to do?
But knowing what you know now and all the pain you went through after, you're telling me that glory for that short amount of time was worth all the pain you've experienced after?
Absolutely.
With all that's out there about CTE, will it be on your mind for the rest of your life?
Yeah. It's a scary proposition to live through. Is that going to happen to me? I really hope not, but there's always the possibility. I played a violent sport for very many long years. You know, people say, why don't you go get tested? I don't want to know, to be honest with you. I don't even want to know because I don't want to start panicking now. You know what I mean? I just want to enjoy my kids and my wife and, you know, what I do, and then say, okay, when it really starts changing, like when I'm getting in the car and I forget where I'm going, then I'll deal with it. But again, like I'm praying, you know, that it's not going to be that way, but there's always the chance, Jonas. There's always the chance.
All right, thank you, guys. Wednesday, we continue our special series called Head Games, the Concussion Crisis. And an in-depth sit-down with former NFL linebacker Harry Carson. He discloses how concussions have impacted him today and whether he would do it all again. Wednesday, 10:30, right here on Geico Sports Night. Coming up on Geico Sports Night, one former Knick did not make the impact here in the Big Apple that everyone had expected. However, big things are happening across seas. Stay tuned to find out who when Geico Sports Night returns.